We'll do some, at least for the first 15, 20 minutes, a little bit of introduction, some theory, and then we'll now focus on, okay, mixing. What are you doing when you are mixing for a church? Um, and then what does all these buttons, what do they do? The information is actually almost everywhere online. And I mean, but sometimes, yeah, when someone online is explaining, you don't have the chance to ask question. Okay, bros, come. What are you? What do you mean by that? And things like that. So let me just pause this. So what I have set up here is what we call virtual sound check. That without any musician there, without anything, I have a pre-recorded. Let me just move these guys away so that I don't feedback easily. Uh, is the live stream is good, right? Okay. I just want to make sure the audio also is good. Everything is fine. I would think so. Anyways, so have we started? I can't see the live stream. Uh, one is waiting. Is it going? Okay, to check. Uh, or maybe I copied the wrong link. It's saying upcoming 6:20 is okay. Okay, that one. It's great love. Okay, it shows that it's live. Yeah, maybe I have the. Okay, we are live. Maybe I have the wrong link here. Everything looks good. Do we have the right? Do I have the right link? Okay, I have the right link. Yeah, I'm there. Let me just share. Join us if you want to. Okay. Yeah, I just put it on my status and okay. Yep. So essentially what we are trying to do is like we are trying to paint a picture. Now, I will just say some few things that some of us will be able to relate with. You know, I was dropping when you were saying, I think you were not projecting the lyrics, right? So people were looking here. And so that's a normal thing. That's it. It's yeah, you didn't know. The point that I want to make is that this morning I was just thinking about because I do this in my church, and I do this for a number of churches, technical people, and and what I've realized is for a local church like this, what we have is we have volunteers in every department, right? In the choir. So most of the people that play in the music department choir that sing, they are not professionals. And most of the people that man the mixer, that do the technical, are all volunteers. So many times, the expectations are always very high than what the capability. Thank you. So I was just thinking about it this morning that especially when it comes to the technical, the sound guy, and the choir, we need to be considerate. Okay, you. Yes, yes, let's shoot that. The mixer will show essentially when we need to explain stuff, or just maybe a few times we need to do something. So I was just thinking that many times we are not very patient with one another. We are not very forgiving when maybe there is a mistake. Even because I do this professionally too. I run a business. Sometimes when you are in a show, when you are in a live event, when you are doing things, mistakes do happen. If you have a reasonable client, they will understand. But if a mistake happens, it happens. There's really nothing that anybody can do. Like, if you can correct, you can correct. But I just realized that, and maybe I'm being biased as a tech guy. the choir, they are not very forgiving to the technical guy. And many times, I mean, not every churches will be fortunate or will be lucky to have maybe a professional person that is volunteering. Do you understand? Because the truth is, what we are doing, some people are doing this full time, and that's what they do for living. So if a church is fortunate to have, the Bible says a prophet is not what what an honor. So sometimes it's also very important. It's interesting. So I'm just putting this out there, yeah, for those of us that are watching to that. If you are in the music ministry, you are in the choir, let us be forgiving and let us be considerate. Let us understand that most times who we have is a volunteer that really they are just trying their best to learn to make things work on the job. Now, having said that, therefore, I will just quickly say this. I think I've mentioned this in some of the previous trainings I've had. They are on the YouTube. So if you guys have chance, I'll send you my link. There are at least four major factors that contribute to a good sound, especially in the live sound context. Okay, maybe I should sit down. Do we have a higher chair? Because I know I've been. Okay, don't worry. So, sorry, I just, I've really not. Yeah, we can combine. Sorry. Don't worry, the people watching us will know that they will understand us. They will forgive us. Okay. So, and then please, if we have any question, don't hesitate to ask. It's supposed to be it's not supposed to be a formal training, or it's supposed to be an informal or semi-formal. So like I was saying, at least we have four major factors that are responsible for having a good sound. And I'll quickly go through those 4 points, and you will understand. If you understand those 4 points, you'll be able to put yourself in a position that, okay, this is what we have, this is what we don't have, this is why we are having these challenges, this is why this is the first one that is very important. I think I classify them into two categories: the human factor and the non-human factor. The human factor involves people. So the first human factor, okay, let me go to non-human factor. And that's where most local churches don't pay attention to. The first one is the acoustic of the room. In the live sound context, and what do I mean by the acoustic of the room? What I mean is how your room interacts with the sound that is coming from your source, from your speakers. Because, in fact, there is a field of engineering that is called acoustic engineering. That when you are planning a building, when you are building a church, one of the services you are supposed to engage is an acoustic engineer. And the reason for that is that sound travels in a medium, and the medium is here now, and it interacts with that medium. So how does sound interact with it? It's the acoustic engineer that will look at the design of your room or of your building, and will be able to come up with a design that, together with the sound engineer, of course, or the sound designer, they will be able to design something that it will at least give you what we call a flat room response. Now, what do I mean by that? In audio engineering, so I'll begin to speak some audio jargons. If you don't if you don't understand, you can ask, and then I will try as much as possible to explain. In audio engineering, in sound, what we can perceive as human beings is between 20 to 20,000 hertz. Hertz is a unit of frequency. I mean, for let me just put it that way. If you, if you don't know what frequency is, you can Google it. At least for now. So okay. So but even that's an ideal situation, but that's not even practical. If I play a 20 hertz audio now, nobody will be able to hear it. In fact, some of these speakers might not be able to reproduce it because it's too low. Some animals can, I think dogs, some birds can, what's that? Storage is not sufficient. How many? If you choose parties to avoid data corruption, please try reduce the period bit rate. Okay. Can we use your own? Let's connect that one and just use it. And um, so I think I can continue with that. That doesn't stop our live stream. It's just recording. Yeah, yeah. It's very important. I'm actually not. I don't trust that flash drive. It has corrupted like two of my videos. That's and it. I think the recording. Yeah, we need to change to the to the other storage. I think we can do that while we are still going on. Okay, we trust them to be able to fix it. Okay, so where did I stop? Acoustic. Yeah, 20. Yeah, 20 to 20,000 hertz, or we say 20 to 20 kilohertz. So, but in an ideal situation, if I play 20 hertz, 1,000 hertz for you, you won't even be able to perceive it because it will be too high. Do you understand? But in an ideal situation, by the time we start getting to something around 35, 40, you begin to feel it. Actually, in that region, you feel it more than you hear it. That's why some people tell you, I can't feel the sound. What they are trying to say is they can't feel the low end, the kick, the bass. And we are going to see some. We are going to demonstrate some of these things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to. the- now, that's one of the challenge I'm saying that within the choir, and I'm hopefully going to put together like a seminar for, especially for worship team, to be able to help them to understand from the point of view of a technical guy, of a sound engineer, some of the challenges and how we can all work together to make this thing work well, and then to have seamless or very good worship experience, because our job is to make the worship experience pleasant for the people, and of course for the congregation, and then the musicians too needs to enjoy what they are doing, what they are playing when they are playing. So we'll get to that hopefully today or maybe next week. So 20 to 20,000 hertz. So I was trying to explain what flat response means. Is that between that 20 to 20,000, we want to make sure that the room respond the same way to all those bands of all those frequencies. That 20 hertz, when we push it out, the room respond properly to it. If it is 100 hertz, if it is 1,000 hertz, if it is 2,000 hertz, that so when we say flat frequency response, it means that we have uniform energy for all those frequencies. Although in practical, if I play a flat frequency, flat response music for you, you won't like it. You won't enjoy it. Now, what I mean by that is usually in especially the style of music we even play from African Nigeria, we enjoy it when it has a little bit of more energy in the low end. So our frequency response is like a little bit higher in the low end and then coming down towards the high end. Do you understand? Because if it is flat, we won't feel the music. We won't the music. We won't enjoy it. That's just how I'll put it. However, in terms of the acoustic, the room, we want to make sure that the room responds equally to most of these frequencies. And the reason for that is you will see it when we begin to look at mixing. So that's the first factor, acoustic. Very important. So you see uh most buildings, most church leadership, they are more concerned about the aesthetic of the building or of the room than the acoustic of the room. So if you're a pastor or you have in the leadership team of a church and you are listening to us, uh, I want to let you know that acoustic is even more important than the aesthetic from sound engineering point of view. I have to put that because if we have a lot of flat surfaces, reflective surfaces in the room, people, let's put glass, let's put tiles on the floor. Those things are not helping your engineer. It's going to be a nightmare and a disaster when we install our sound system because you have a lot of reflective surfaces. And then when you have too much reflector, when you are, because when people are in the church and you are, making music, they are not only hearing the direct sound from the speaker, they are also hearing the reflective sound. So if that reflection is high, it will reduce the intelligibility of the sound. And there are three major parameters we look at when we say, okay, the sound is good. Is it intelligible? Can we hear what the person speaking? Can we perceive? Can we hear it clearly? Intelligibility, clarity, and loudness. Is it loud enough or is it too loud? Because also you don't want people to come to church and go back with hearing problem. So you don't want it to be too loud. So I've just digressed a little bit into all those three. But the first factor is acoustic. The second one that is not that is inanimate, that is not human being, is the source of your audio or of your sound. The source of your sound. Now, what do I mean by the source? For example, if you have a drum that is not tuned or properly tuned, you will struggle on the mixer to mix it properly. Because the Bible says if the foundation be destroyed, what can there? Is the question that we are still finding solution to answer in the Bible. So if the source, if what is coming from the source is terrible, they have put you in a position whereby really you are not a magician. You are a sound engineer. You are managing the sound that is given to you. Or the keyboard, the piano that is coming is too loud. Sometimes what is getting to your preamp is even clipping. That is not good enough. So that's where your musician needs to understand. Or how do you correct someone that is singing off key or singing off pitch? There's really, although there are some sophisticated and more advanced mixer that probably can do something, but those things still have limitation. Or you have someone that is holding the microphone. Imagine as I'm using this microphone, I'm shouting. And I notice it's very common among us, that we are from Africa, and we are very passionate people. So it's not it's not our fault. But of course, probably if people are properly educated, they will understand. I mean, someone is singing, you're singing like this and we can hear you, but you want to pitch, you want to go and sing some high note, and you still maintain the same distance because you are going to shout. Do you understand? So we call it microphone dynamics. You have to understand those dynamics too. So these are some of the challenges of
The backup is even louder than the lead.
how does the back. I've heard in some cases a backup that is hard lipping. You are a backup. You are not the lead vocalist. So your job is is to back up and just do your job. We don't want to hear you ad lipping. Do you understand? So those are, how do you correct that on the mixer? The best you can do probably is just to mute the person.
Or reduce the volume completely.
And then they will come and fight you that they can't hear them. So so things like that. Those are, so source. Your source is very important, because this is my own rule of thumb. This is my own philosophy, that if you want to make good music or produce good sound, the minimum that you need, that you require, that you expected is a good source. Is a good source. That's the minimum. If anything below that, it's going to be disaster. It's going to be, you have to do a lot of processing. You have to do a lot of things. And at the end of the day, by the time you are, hardening, what you're doing is you might be introducing some unwanted, or what you don't need into the system, and then everything become very clogged up. So, having said that, good source. So good source, I've given an example of, tune your instrument. For instrument that needs tuning, someone that is playing a saxophone that is not playing correct note, or the notes are not, is not playing on the note, is flattening out or is sharpening out. There's no how you can correct that on the mixer. And a number of things, especially my main bone of contention is actually with vocalists. I'm sorry, everybody that is serving in the music team at least should take a music class. It will help. It will, because we all have, and of course, the person that is even behind the board too. It will be good if you have a level of musicianship, because when you are mixing, you know how a piano should sound. So you have a reference. So that's, thank God I remember that. There's what we call a reference. Now, as a mixing guy, as a someone that is mixing, you need to have a reference. You need to know what you want to achieve when you are mixing. And how do you know what you achieve? Is what we call reference. You have a reference in your mind that, okay, I listen to Tim Godfrey, for example, or Nathaniel Bassey. Okay, there's a way it sounds. So that you have created that reference in your mind and you're trying to work towards that. You might not be able to achieve exactly, but at least you have something you are working towards. So the same way, how should a kick sit in a mix? The kick drum, how should it sound in a mix? That's a reference. So you because you know how it should sound, when you are making your adjustment, you are adjusting towards that. How should the piano sound in the mix? How should the background vocal, where should they be? And eventually, if we're able to get to it during this training, we'll begin to talk about 3D mixing. 3D mixing means that when you are listening to a mix, you can picture where each instrument is located. It's like you are looking at them on the stage like this, and you can say, okay, the drummer is in the middle. I have two female vocals to my left. I have one tenor to my right. My lead vocal is at the center. I have a piano here. I have another piano here, or I have a synth or a pad. I have an electric guitar closed. Because there is a way we can do that when we mix. If we get there today or next week, show us that there's actually where you can. It's like you're solving a puzzle when you are mixing. Actually, that you are putting people in the place, because what most people that are not necessarily professional, what one of the mistakes they make is they just want to put everything together at a point. But what we are doing actually is like you are painting. It's actually very interesting that I can decide to put a vocalist to my far right and push her back a little bit in the mix. There is a way to do that. So I was still talking about the second factor, the source. Source. Once you deal with the source, yes, once you deal with the source, is a good thing. So we've talked about two things now. You can now begin to look at your own situation now, and then begin to now think, okay, are our acoustic? Do we have good acoustic? Why are we having the issue we are having with our sound? Do you understand? And then look at your sources and look at, okay, is our drum tuned? Things like that. Now, the other side of it, the human factor, uh, which is the first one, is uh, the quality of the musician or the quality of the music team. You know, I don't know if you've heard this, but I've heard it a lot of times that some of our church members will go to another church and they will come back. They will say, their sound is good where we went to. How come our own sound is not that good? And the first question I will ask them is, number one, do we have the same quality of musicians? Do we have the same quality of musical instrument? I think that's the last one. So acoustic, um, source, your musicians. I think the last one actually is also not necessarily human. Now the quality of the reason why I put it under human is that because the person that would decide, let us go for this gear, let us buy this equipment, is human, right? And how do you decide, or how do you determine this is what we want to buy, this is what we should buy? Is because if you don't have the expertise, if you don't know, for example, now I've been doing this, this I was really thinking about this training, and I just started thinking about, okay, when did I start? I started audio, or my first introduction to audio was in 2006, in my first year in university. I just joined the technical department of the fellowship. I was in University of Lagos then. So, and then from there, that was the beginning. And it just fascinated me. And I started because I was studying electrical engineering as an undergraduate. So, by the time I got to second year, third year, well, number one, I enjoyed the company of the guys that we work together. So it was really always fun. We come carry speaker because we normally set up and tear down every service. So it's a lot of work. So, but it no, we make it fun. We come very early. We leave late. So those were the things. I just enjoy the thing, and then now I started taking some classes in electronics, and I started is making. I saw the application of some of the things I was learning in class, so it made more sense. So I now started giving myself to it. So before I left University of Lagos, I had set up in almost everywhere in Unilag. I started training people also because of some of the things I've learned. And then from there, after university, Nigerian factor, I couldn't get a job. So I got a job with a production company, sound production company. They used to set up for experience then. But we used to manage like one of the biggest live events in Nigeria in Africa then. So and I was trained professionally there too. So that exposed me. And in fact, I remember the last training I had before I left. The guy that trained us was supposed to go to the US, but the company was okay. We are live. I'm not mentioning the company anyway. So the company was trying to cut costs, so they brought in the guy. So when the guy came, when we were in training, because I had done some very crazy electrical mathematics course. So when he started talking about Fourier transform, it was making sense. I was no anytime the guy asked a question, I would be the first person to. So people were looking at it like, who is this guy? Where did they bring this guy from? I told them I've done Fourier transform. We're talking about analyzers, spectrum analyzer, and all those things. So it just makes sense, and I enjoy what I can go on like this for 5 hours. And I'm telling you, I didn't read any book before I came. Everything is Otiwa Lokolo. Now, so but the point I'm trying to make is the choice of gear of equipment that you buy. There are a number of factors that determine that too. Your pocket, very important. Now this mixer, thank God for Beringa. Beringa has helped us in this industry. In fact, I think they produced this mixer around 2009, 2010. So the next one they produced was 2 years ago, 2019, 2020. I think 10 years apart. That was Beringa Wing. That's what we use in our parish in Jesus House. Now, the good thing about digital, because people are moving from analog to digital now, the good thing is that with this digital, you can do more in terms of processing than analog. No, if it is an analog, if we want to do some extra processing, we have to have like what we call outboard gear. Do you understand? But here they've digitized everything. Everything is almost there. So if you know what you're doing, if you know what's going on, you can have relatively decent mix that is acceptable anywhere in the world with this. In fact, this is one of the most common digital boards you can find anywhere. And in terms of the price point and the kind of work you can do with it, the quality is good. But this board, the market price for the new of this board is probably around 3,500 US dollar. But as we have a 3,000 board, we have a 150,000 board US dollar. We have board that are even more than that. So it will be unfair to now begin to compare what this would do to what that would do. So when people come back and say, we went to a church, I will ask them, what kind of board are they using? What kind of setup do they have? What is the quality of their drum? Who is playing it? In fact, some of those churches, their musicians are a full-time employer. And what most people don't know in music in the ministry is that music requires time. Music, I know is a discussion that we are not ready to have in the church. There is a school of thought that you shouldn't pay your musician. There is a school of thought that, but I mean, we are not here to argue that today. But I'm just putting that out there that some people go to school to study music, And someone that went to study music, it's just the same way. I went to school to study medicine. If a church has a hospital and you employ me as a doctor, will you say God bless you to me at the end of the month? But anyways, that's just that's another thing. So we've seen all the factors that are responsible. So with all those factors, we can now look at our situation and say, okay, ah, we don't have this, we have this. All the same, knowledge is very important. So that's why we are having this. So if we have the knowledge of, okay, because we don't have this, we don't have that, okay, what we have, how do we optimize what we have? And thank God we have Behringer X32 here. So I have a pre-recorded, this is what we call, I was trying to explain this the other time, virtual sound check, that in some of my previous events that I've had, so I recorded each channel separately. So when I go for an event and I need to do what I call sound check, and there are no musicians, there are no vocalists around, I can pick what I have. That's why I went to get this cable. So I can send my 32 channel back to this mixer and then mix it as if I'm mixing live. So that when my musician come on, they want to do a sound check, I have a good place to start. It might not be, in fact, in some cases, if all the factors are checked, I might just not even need to do any much work because everything is already mixed. So that's what I used to do training for us. That's what I used to do training, that so let's see how the kick should sound. Given that, provided that, okay, the thing was properly recorded, at least to some extent, we can use and make adjustment and see how it sounds. Now, I'm not sure if this is important or this is necessary, but I would have loved to start from how do we get sound into the mixer in the first place? Or what is the signal chain? What is the signal flow? Very important. It doesn't matter whether your setup is a small setup, maybe for 10, 15 people, or a medium setup like the church, or a big setup like Experience. The signal flow is the same. If you understand the signal flow, one of the things understanding the signal flow in audio system will do for you is that it will help you to quickly troubleshoot. In case there is a problem, or when the show is going on, something went wrong, you'll be able to say, okay, do I have sound here? Okay, at this point, at what point don't I have the sound? You can follow the chain. So typically, your signals chain start from your source. Your source can be your musical instrument. Your source can be your vocalist. In my case, my source is me that I'm talking now. Now, from the source, you need something. If it's a musical instrument, the musical instrument is already making sound already, right? Now, inside your musical instrument, you have something that converted that sound to electrical signal. That's why we use cable. Yeah, so you use cable to transmit that signal. Now, from your source, typically, you will go to your mixer. Usually. Although in some cases, there are some other things that will have come in between your source and the mixer. For example, in your own case, what is between your source and your mixer is your stage box. So there's a stage box there that brings the signal into this place. Now, and I will show you how we did the configuration here. So, but typically speaking, from high level, if you're a project management person, you understand that high level. So from your source to your mixer, and then from your mixer, typically to your power amplifier. But in these days, we can jump power amplifier to your mixer to your speaker, because your power amplifier and your speaker, they have become a composite system. They have become embedded. Most especially if you are using what we call an active speaker or a powered speaker. This is a powered speaker. This is an active speaker. What that means is that the speaker and the amplifier, they are together. But in the olden days, before we started having like active system and powered system, from your mixer, it will go to amplifier. In fact, in between your mixer and amplifier, you have what we call a processor too. But these days, thank God for digital system too, many times you don't necessarily need an outboard um, gadget or processor because everything is already in your mixer. So it is, for example, what we have here is from your source to your stage box, which is stage box and mixer. They are also can be a composite system because it is the same manufacturer that manufacture both of them. So they are technically together. So our time is running. Don't worry, we'll stop by 2, hopefully. Okay, so from your mixer then to your speaker, that settles it. That was very simple. But in some cases, you might have some things in between. So why that is important is because if something goes wrong, you can now trace it. Okay, is it from the source? If it's not from the source, is the signal getting to the mixer? If it's getting to the mixer, okay, is the signal coming out of the mixer to the speaker? Do you understand? So you are able to trace it. Okay. Sorry, can I get water? I actually forgot to bring. Yeah, my throat is drying. Small. Okay. Yeah. So I'll just continue. Now, so how do we get audio here? If you notice, I said I was sending audio from here. So if we come to look at our routing page, you will see that under the input, there are actually at least 3 or 4 means or 4 ways to bring audio into this mixer. So if you look at it, let's go up. The first one is the local, what we call local input. What we mean by local, thank you very much, sir. Okay, so what we mean by local input is, if you look at the back of the mixer, you see that exact thing you have on that stage box is at the back here. So just in case you don't have a stage box and your mixer is closer to your musician, you can plug in your input directly into the mixer. So those are what we call local input. Now, in your own case, we are using a stage box, and a stage box is bringing the signal through what we call AES protocol. AES. So that's why you have. So now we have even 2 ports for AES. So we are only using 1. So we have AES A and AES B. So you can see AES 50. A from A to 48 and B to 48. Now, the advantage of AES is, number 1, is digital. You see, the only AES is a it has different what's it called meaning, but generally I think it's an acronym for I actually can't remember. I think he's is a something from the but this AES 50 is like an audio protocol. Yeah, is a protocol to transmit digital audio signal. We have a number of protocols, like we have Dante, we have AES, we have MADI, we have what else do we have? At least those ones that those are the ones that I can remember. Now, so in our case here, we are using AES because we are using a stage box. So what that means is that we just use a Cat5 or a Cat6 to connect that stage box to this. So all our input goes into the stage box. Now, for this virtual sound check I'm using USB. There is a card at the back of this mixer. That's a USB card. So the USB can take in 32 channel and send 32 channel. So I can record 32 channels separately, multi-track with this into my computer, and I can also play back those 32 channels. So if you see, if I play this now, you will hear, so they are coming. So if you come to look at all my input, let me show you the meter to all the input. You can see that I have input. So I can solo one, or I can increase one. Why is this not? Okay. Yeah, so that's the kick channel. If I increase this should be the hi-hat or the snare. This is the hi-hat, this is the snare. That's usually I normally do this is tom 1, tom 2. So I probably will put it in where the music is. is going on. Let's see. Yeah, there's music here. Yeah, there's music here. Without doing anything, I'm just bringing them up. I'm not doing any processing. You can hear them. They are coming up. Those are my drums channel. I think these two, 9 and 10, is my uh, piano key one. So I can solo it. Those are my. I've not even done any mixing. What that means is that when I recorded it, they were properly recorded. You see, I've not done, and it's actually sounding, is not sounding bad, really. So that's to tell you also that the source. I made sure that the source is important. That I got the right source. I'm going to reduce this here so that it doesn't feedback. I'm sure they will be hearing this. I don't want them to hear. Okay, they can't hear it online because I've not sent it to online. They can just hear it from Ambient. So if I want them to hear it online, I will, because this is what I'm using for my broadcast. I will just send them to. We'll send them later. So if you are listening to us online, sorry, we are enjoying good music here, but you're on your own. So you see, I can solo. That's supposed to be string. This is supposed to be the piano. I think, what is this? This is the bass. Now the bass has an issue that day when we were recording. So let me go to the other part that probably the bass is good. I think what's it called that I use? The So we are now in another place. Let me just select that. So you can hear I've not even done anything to the bass. So which one is this one? So this is a talking drum. Which one is this one? Nothing is there. Maybe the person went to do something. This is a backup. Now, so you can actually the secret will come out now because that's now let me tell you something. My people, I used to tell them one of the best people to give you feedback is your sound engineer because I could hear what everybody. I know the people that don't know the song that are just chewing out. I That's the truth. I know the people that are singing off key. I know the people that once they hold the microphone, this person is going to be shouting the microphone. So I quickly know what to deal with that. So, and sometimes, although we also need to we also need to do a good job of constructive criticism, not just to because the truth is most people that we are dealing with, they are hard and everybody knows. Yeah, they are volunteers and they are not professional. But you see, one of my own burden especially for the house of God, the reason why I even started training churches is one of the things I realized is most big churches that can afford to employ the service of an audio engineer, a sound engineer, eventually when they bring in someone, they bring in an unbeliever. But what we are doing is really not show. It's a service. It's a worship. So everything needs to come together, sanctified. So if I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, my head is correct, and I'm spirit filled. I'm behind the mixer. I'm contributing my quota, not just my skill. I'm coming with a good heart. Who can ascend to the mountain of the Lord? A pure hand, and So that gives me, and because you see in big churches, those boys will come. They will just be messing around with all our sisters also, So those were the things that really got me that, okay, you know, see, you get. So I just like, okay, if I can raise a believer or sound engineer that their head is correct and they can be part of the worship, why can't we have that? So those are some of the things that is personally driving me that, okay, I mean, we don't have to be going, although we are in Canada now, but even in Canada, you have churches that actually employ musicians that they are not necessarily believers. Yeah, not even from the church, but believer people that can, spiritually contribute to the worship experience of the people. So I was saying something before I said that. So that you are the good guy, you are the guy that can give people feedback. So we can see also that there is also a way to bring in sound apart from the local input at the back, apart from the stage box. We can also bring sound from the. So you will see some what people are actually doing now. One of these is become very popular is that because when you want to probably do a song, let's say you want to do a song by Travis Green, and Travis Green used three different pianos. One is playing pad, one is playing string, one is playing piano, or whatever they choose. They have three electric guitar. One is soloing, one is reading, one is just there. They have probably 5 or 8 backup singers that are singing solid, but you want to do the same song. And this is what I tell people. People will say, we sang this song in our church. It's sounding different. The point is, do we have everything that they put into it? So what they are now do now is that people now sell what they call stems of those songs. That if we want to do that song, we can go online and buy the stem of that song. That is, we can buy the string they play on that song. We can buy one of the vocals or two of the vocals if we don't have many instrumental and everything, and then we can put it on a software like this and play it back into our service. So as we're singing, everybody is singing together, so it will become fuller and it will be more professional. It will be as if we did it. Do you understand? So that's what in fact, actually big churches are doing that. Hillsong, Bethel, look at them. This is what people are. So you will see, that's why people are having better live stream experience now. Do you understand? And we're going to get there. If not, how do you mix for a live stream? Because the truth is, the need in the house is different from the need on the live stream. So there are two. In fact, in a standard environment, you have a separate board for your house. You have another separate board for your stage, for your musician, and then you have another separate board for your live stream. In our case, we are using this mixer to do 3 things. So if you are mixing on this mixer, you are doing actually 3 people's job at the same time. That's another reason why our choir needs to be considerate with us.
People on YouTube on YouTube listening to YouTube and service always like, we are not getting.
Now, the truth is, you can actually use this as the capability of doing that. But the only challenge is that if the person here is really not dexterous, he doesn't has the skill, is not as skillful as, you might not be able to optimize that. And even if you are as skillful, you are still doing a 3-person's job at the same time. So sometimes, but for example, during our crossover service last year, we used Spirit Lamp, so we used 3 mixers. I make sure we design it. But one of the limitations I also faced was that. That's why I'm doing this training. That I really want to have people that I know that closing my eyes, this person is there, he will do a good job. He knows what is going on. Because mixing also, you become better at it the more you do it. Do you understand? It's a craft. It's an art. Yeah, it's beautiful if you know what is going on. So that's why you need to know what each button does. If you know it and you know how to apply it, at different situations and scenarios, I mean, it's beautiful. So I'm going to do a rough mix, as you can see. So let me send some things to the live stream, and if I'm not, I hope it won't be too loud. Okay, let me solo this so that at least I can hear what is going on in the live stream. So you see what I did? I solo this monitor. I mean, this what I'm sending to the live stream, so that I'll be able to hear. Make sure that it's not too loud. Okay, so this is recording actually from our crossover night, right? So relatively speaking, it sounds good. We've not done any mixing. What I'm doing now is just let me take them down. So people online, I'm taking them down. What I just did is I'm just doing leveling. And which is actually one of the steps of mixing too, leveling. Okay, so let's see if we can delve into mixing. So we've looked at least 3 different methods of bringing sound into this. I think there are other methods. If we look at this, now Behringer now did something that blew everybody's mind. They updated the firmware and they now give us what they call user input. What that user input does for you is that it makes it more flexible. Because before, these things used to be in bands of 8. So it's either, let's say there is a scenario that, for example, we want to set up and want to play back from the computer. At least we need at least 8 tracks or 8 channels from the computer. The only way we can do it is where everything is in band of 8. Do you understand? But now they've upgraded. They now use user. So with user, I can decide that my channel 1 will be from the snake. My channel 2 will be from the back. My channel 3 will be from here. Do you understand? It's more flexible now. I will just use user. So when I use my user, I will go to the user and now assign, okay, I want my channel 1 to come from stage box. Instead of 1 to 8 must be from one particular source. So this user just open it. It become, and that's one of the things we consider when we are designing a system for a church. Like, okay, why should I ask you to go and buy this mixer and not buy another one? We look at all the factors. Is it flexible? What are we going to use it for? Okay, we only have one mixer for church, musicians, and live stream. You need something that is as flexible as that you can do many things with it and optimize it. There are some mixers that really cannot do that, and they are all digital mixers. So you look at that, you look at the price. Okay, how much is the church willing to spend? Do you understand? Those factors. So we've looked at that. So user too, and I think there are some other auxiliary input and things like that. But I'm just showing us that this is. Yeah, I'm not sure we might actually need it, but it's just for us to know. Now, let me start from the point of mixing. What are the first things to know? Like we have signal flow in the whole system. We also have signal flow on the board. Now, what is the signal flow on the board? To quickly say something on that, I will need to introduce the levels of signal we have in audio engineering too. We have 3 levels of signal. Very important. You see, this understanding of this level of signal, came handy one day, I think on site. I was setting up a device I've never set up before. But because I understood the signal level, I just applied that knowledge and it just helped me to set it up. Now, we have 3 signal levels. We have the microphone level, we have the line level, and we have the speaker level. Some people categorize into 4, but I usually like to go with these 3. Microphone level is the smallest level. It's usually what comes into your microphone that comes into your mixer. For example, as I'm talking now, this microphone that I'm using has what we call a transducer. We've been on that shot for a while. We are not. Let's go back to the other shot. Yeah. So. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Now. So this microphone has what we call a transducer. Is what is converting the sound that is coming from my mouth to an electrical signal. But the signal is very small, probably in tens of millivolts. Very small. That if I connect this microphone directly to the speaker, nothing will come out because it's so small. So it is this microphone level that comes into this mixer. In some cases, the mixer also takes in line level. For example, on your piano, what comes out from your piano is probably line level in most cases. So you see that usually when you are mixing, your gain for your piano many times is not usually as high as the gain that you put on your microphone. In some cases, it's not always cast in stone. I'm just using that to explain that. So we have the microphone level. That's what comes into the mixer. Now the mixer will do what we call preamplification, and that is why we have the gain. In fact, on that stage box, there are preamplifiers there to boost the level of the signal at least to a line level where the mixer can begin to work on it. So that's what the first thing usually on any mixer, no matter how small or how big the mixer is. Usually we have what we call a gain or a preamplifier. So it boosts that signal up to the level that now the mixer can now begin to work on it. So then after the line, so it is the line level that the mixer works on. The mixer gives us also the line level. That's about 1 volt when you want to measure it in, because we are dealing with electrical signal, so we measure it in voltage. Are we getting tired? Okay. Yeah, time is gone. So this now will now take it to the amplifier. So it's the amplifier that will now boost the line level to the speaker level. So it's the speaker level that comes out of the speaker that we can now hear. So speaker level ranges from probably 10 volts to, depending on the capacity of the speaker. So that understanding of those level of speaker of signal will help you when you are making connections. Because if you check, I'm not sure if it is here. It's not here. There are some devices that you will see line and you see mic. What they are telling you is that they will have a switch. So you will determine if it is line level that you are feeding into that system, you have to switch to line. And if it's a microphone level, you have to switch to microphone. Yes, to the speaker, if the speaker has that switch at the back. So that's what it means. Yeah, you got it. Okay, so now, what is the signal flow from the mixer? Typically, usually, the first point on the mixer, I've said it, is your preamp. And that can make or mar your mix. In fact, that is the foundation of your mix. So we call something gain structuring. When I want to mix for a band, everybody is on their instrument, I'll ask them to play so that I can gain structure them. And usually, you want to mix around 0 dB. If you look at this, so we can switch back to the mixer now. If you look at the mixer, you see we have from minus infinity, and it now start, and it's not a uniform scale. This is what we call a logarithmic scale. For those of us that know log, and in logarithm, log, what is log 1? Mathematics. Log 1 is 0. Yeah. So because log 1 is 0, that's why we have this. Now, because we are dealing with gain, gain essentially is, the formula for gain is the output divided by the input. So output over input, just basic level. So log of that is 0. So if you have a unity gain, that means what you have in is what you go out. I will show us now. Let's see this. Now look at this. Look at this channel 1. Look at what is coming in. Can you see that? If I put this at 0, it will be the same thing that will be going out.
Okay, so this is input, this is
Output.
Okay.
So can you see that? So that's is at unity gain.
Okay.
So what that means is that is whatever so you want to mix around that time. So different people have different style, but this is usually my own starting point. So I put it in gain and I increase this. Now, let me quickly show you something. Because my channel 32 is this microphone I'm using, and I connected directly to the back, local back. Look at what we have here. What do we have here? We have gain, right?
Yeah.
Now let's look at the signal we are bringing from the computer. What do we have here?
CRM.
We have trim. Now, what's the difference between a trim and a gain? Both of them are gain, but the difference is that trim is showing us that what we are dealing with now is a digital signal. What is coming here is an analog signal. So, in fact, because this has been pre-recorded, and I'm not sure, have I actually mixed this? Let me see if because it's sounding too good to be. I think I probably put some things there. I've put some things there, but they are not active. So it's still flat. So it's not yet mixed. That means I did a good job in recording it. And of course, setting, that means this is actually one of the measures to look at, okay, how your setup is good, right? So this is kick. Now, I we put it here. Um, okay. I can so that the people at home can hear. So it's a kick you are hearing now. Okay, yeah. So you can see that unity gain. So if I need to increase my gain, and usually if I let's say if I solo this, I soloed it, and you can see the solo signal here. So when we are mixing, all things being equal, and all things being equal is in capital letter because it's very important. If all my speakers are everything is well set up. Now there is something I've not talked about, speaker placement, which I think we actually need to redo here in the church. Speaker placement is very important because your speakers have some parameters that we won't be able to go into that. I just remember that. But speaker placement, how do you place your speaker to achieve, let me bring this one down on the live stream, to optimize the results you will get from them. That's what speaker placement also does. And also there is what we call microphone placement too. How do you mic your instrument to maximize them too? Do you understand? So those things are very important. Now, even because I've not increased, but I solo it. This solo goes straight to the monitor, and because I connected these speakers to the monitor, that's why we can hear them. So you can see the unity gain now. What comes in, what goes out. So you want usually we want to mix around that unity area. Do you understand? And another thing is the reason why we have all this meter, all these things here, is just to give you an indication of how high what is coming in is. If what is coming in is already clipping, you're already making us you're already setting yourself up for not having a good mix. Because I mean clipping, number one, is unpleasant to the ear. When the signal clips, what it means is instead of having a normal sinusoidal form, sine wave, by the time it goes it's cutting off. Do you understand? And if you have, then you now begin to have like a square wave, and square wave, number one, can damage your speaker, can damage your Twitter con, and that's actually not what you want to hear in terms of sound. So you want to make sure that your input is around this place. It's just probably eating zero. That's when you have good and clean mix. But in some cases, in live setting, it's not always like that. So let's not kid ourselves. So we have the kick. We have the snare drum. Can hear the snare. And then instead of doing this, I might need to change something and probably put my live stream here so that every change I'm making is going to live stream too. So I don't need to be mixing for here, I'm mixing for live stream too. Do you understand? So let me just see if I can quickly do that. Send. Okay, I'll send these two. Let me link them together, and then I can now. So I've sent a copy of my left and right to this matrix 1 and 2. Now I'm now going to route this matrix 1 and 2 to my output 7 and 8, because that's where my live stream is connected at the back. So I'll go here. Let me call our live stream tech to make sure that okay, you are there. Okay, I just want to make sure that we have audio. I want to make some changes now. Out, yeah. So I'm coming to out 7 and 8. If you look at out 7 and 8, it's normal mix box mix 7 and 8, because by default mix 1 is out 1. That's usually how the mixer comes. So I want to change it to matrix now. Matrix, can you see? So and I'm on matrix 1. I assign it, and I assign it post fader, and 8 2. The same matrix 2. I assign it, and it's post fader. So now, do we still have audio, ma'am? You still have audio. So I may need to increase these and probably reduce this so that it doesn't feedback. because the reason why I need to increase this is now I need to increase this on this so that because a copy of this is what I split here, so that it won't be low on the live stream. So that when we're now doing our mixing, so as I'm increasing this, it's going to live straight, so the people online can hear us. You can hear the person that is playing drum too is giving me good vibe. And this is now, because this is already a digitized signal, so I really don't have much I'm doing in my trimming. I think the level looks good to me in terms of gain. Do you understand? So I can just, that's why I'm just bringing them up. So let's see how they sound without even mixing them. And I can solo. This is the kick I'm getting. Although this one, yeah, I might not be able to go past this. So next week we'll look into EQ, we'll look into compression, we'll look into bass, gate, some processing, vocal processing, and then we'll now look into routing. Routing, very important, very, very interesting. As we're even doing it, that you can see that. So you can see it's talking drum. So when you're mixing, I'm regulating which one do I want it to be loud, how loud do I want this one to be. Do you understand?
We're going to salute the Lord of Lords, the God that has brought you to year 2022. Hey! I
My vocals are really not coming. Let me look at where the vocals are coming very well.
You are the mighty God.
Yeah, we'll close very soon.
Said it's only.
Okay.
Said it's only.
This is like
the
a special,
beginning.
a special
For we serve a
administration.
God of new beginnings.
So I think
somebody is breaking
everything
forth
sounds
tonight.
good.
You're breaking forth tonight.
So
You're breaking forth tonight. You're breaking forth tonight. You're breaking forth tonight. Choir, help me
Okay.
sing. It's not over. It's not over. It's not finished.
so we can
It's
hear the
not
backup.
ending.
They're just starting the music.
It's only the beginning.
If I
When
just
God
want
is
to
in it,
do a quick mix before we go, just I want to make it to sound a
all
little bit
things are new.
good.
All things are.
Okay.
How many of us believe
just
that
do
all things
this.
are new? All things are new. All things are new.
Did you hear that?
Oh, I know it's darkest.
Did you see what I just
know
did?
it's dark.
I just added
Just
a little bit
before
of
dawn.
effects on the lead.
This might be the hardest season that you have experienced. Season that you've experienced. I know it hurts, but it won't be too long. You're closer than,
My vocal
closer than you've been before.
increase them a little bit. This way.
So look to the sky. Help is on the way. It's not over. It's not finished.
It's not finished.
It's not ending.
It's not ending.
It's only the beginning.
It's
only the
beginning.
When God is in, when Jesus is in the center of it all, all things are new. That's the word to you tonight. All things are new. All things are new.
All things are.
Hallelujah.
Because this is still a bit raw, so I'm just
Something.
doing a crash. The lead vocal
Turn it
is
around.
a little bit too forward, so I want to bring it a little bit back.
Seasons are changing.
Things are changing.
because it's using more energy, right? Can you hear that? Now, what should I do to this? Let me calm it. I'm pushing this to the right. Pushing this both of the water. Back up to the right. Why? Because I don't want them to think.
Help is on the way.
Now, if you listen to this thing sonically, it will make more sense. That's why.
It's not finished. It's not ending. Hallelujah. It's only the beginning.
The kick is not punching as I want it to be. So let me do something to that.
It's not finished.
It's not ending.
It's not ending.
It's only the beginning.
It's only the beginning.
When
God is in it.
When Jesus is at the center of it all.
When God is in it. Oh, 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 oh.
Another thing is, here you go.
God is in it.
To listen.
There is no limit. No
Yeah, that's
limitation.
the hand. That's
When
cool.
God is
And
in
then
it. Said it's not over.
It's not over. When God is in it,
There is no limitation.
there is no
When Jesus
limit.
is in it.
When God is
Can
in
you
All
it,
things are possible with
what I
him.
just
It's not over.
it's not over. When God is in
can
it,
you hear
There
that?
is no limit.
there is no limit. When God is in it,
But it's not over.
it's not over. When God is in it,
There is no limitation.
there is no
What I did, I
limit.
took out some part of the scripture that is not good. Look at what I did.
It's not over.
That part is
It's not
terrible.
over. When God says
And
so,
what I'm even doing now,
so I count it all joy.
I just want to do a crash mixing and then go home, right?
It's not
so-
over.
Okay.
When God says so,
So my kick is pumping
so I count
gradually.
it all
At least
joy.
I'm liking it. So I pump.
It's not over.
The reason I'm
It's
doing
not
this
over.
is if I solo it
When
alone, it
God
might not
says
sound the
so,
best, but
so I
because
count it
I'm
all
mixing,
joy.
relating to other music and shit.
All things
So-
new. It's not
So
over.
listen to that kick in the mix
The God
when I
says
on this and I
so.
off this.
So I count it all joy.
See the difference?
It's not over.
Now this brother is now becoming too much.
It's not over.
Yeah. So we do. There's something we can do to that. We can put a compression so that I'll tell you what compression does next week. We'll continue next week. Like, okay, I just want to quickly do something that we can all be happy before we go. Yeah. So my kick technically is sounding very decent. So let's do something for my snare.
It's not over for someone tonight. You're breaking forth. You're breaking forth. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over.
The music is coming live now, right?
It's not over.
And then my now how do you use your EQ? That's what I'm trying to do.
Hallelujah. For we serve a God that is faithful. For we serve
Yeah.
a God that is committed
Yeah.
to his word. His promises in Christ are yea and amen. Amen. Numbers 23,
I really
19,
don't know
it says,
where
God is not
all
a
the
man
other
that he
parts-
should lie. He's not a son of man that he should repent.
interesting.
As he sang, will he not do it? As he spoke it, will he not make it good? We serve a God that is faithful. A God that is committed to his word.
I thought
Hallelujah.
I have
For your name is Yahweh. Come on, lift up your hands and worship.
Okay. I would just stop here. So, we'll stop here. I wanted to show you something. Because generally speaking, I can send this to the live stream. It's actually sounding good, but we can make it sound better. For example, the piano can become a little bit more refined. The bass can become crunchy, which I like. We can make it more pronounced in the mix a little bit. And then your preferences also usually determine how you mix. That's why I talked about reference. Now, how do you know? We've talked about how to create a reference. You listen to good mix. Do you understand? Listen to good mix. Songs that have been mixed that are good. So it gives you perspective that, okay, this is how the piano should sound relative to the voice, the BGV, the background vocals, relative to the lead vocal. So it just helps you to have those mental picture of how a good mix should sound. And then when you're mixing, you mix towards that. So I think with this viewpoint of mine, I hope I use you to convince you and not confuse you. That, you see, is an interesting thing. And so I think we can go offline now. So to our online audience, thank you for joining us. We'll continue next week, and hopefully next week we'll be able to do more mix, and then we'll take do we have any question? Okay, maybe before we go off, have we gone off? Okay. Any question? So that means I did a good job. Okay. We have more questions. Okay, more practical. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because we actually wanted to know, okay, this 14, okay, if you do this, these are the things you get. You know, you were like, okay, you know those keys, okay.
I just wanted to give you something before. Okay. Okay, you have a question. Okay. Check. Yes. They are actually materials. I will send you some of the previous training we've done if you can listen to them, and then they are even on trainings on Behringer, this particular mixer, YouTube videos. There are a lot of them. Yeah, so you can. The only thing with YouTube video is that whatever you hear, you listen to. When you come back, you can now ask questions. We can now look at, okay, this is why this is this. This is why this person said this. This is that, and then. Yeah, they are actually. I even have some materials in my car. Because when I did training, then I came up with a manual. It's an old manual, but I still have it. If I want to make reference to something, I just quickly check them out. And so, but they are material. The truth is, there is nothing you can learn on the internet. Everything is on the internet. You just need to know what to look for. Shall I get? Yeah. So, but if you need me to send some material, I can put together some things and probably. I think I have both of you your contact, right? So I can send it to you. Yeah. And then so, but generally speaking, everything is okay. So we can go offline now, and then. Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
I'm looking forward to next week already.
Yeah.
Looking forward, because this is very interesting.
Said it's only the beginning, for we serve a God of new beginning.